after the show and see, what's going on. More, forgive me. I'm trying, Blake, okay? I'm trying to forgive, but it's just so hard. Y'all, please welcome a dear friend of mine, a friend of the show, a licensed clinical psychologist, and I got it right this time, I think, Dr. Marissa.
Hello.
Dr. Marissa, how you doing?
Hi, good. How are you?
I am a little frantic right now, to be completely honest with you, but I'm gonna have to forgive Meet Me for the technical difficulties tonight.
You're right. Maybe we should take some breaths together.
We may not have enough time to take breath.
Yeah, we'll get kicked off again.
Enough time because we may get booted.
Do you think it has something to do with your background? Is that a new background?
No, this happened on the very last time. Thank you, Chris. I appreciate it. This happened the last time I was featured. I don't know. I'm gonna talk to Meet Me about it afterwards. But it was like, because it doesn't happen during my normal shows, and God knows that those are worse than what I'm doing here. So I don't know. I think it has something to do with the featured.
Okay, I got kicked off once, but I was talking about dirty stuff.
Okay.
And you weren't talking about dirty stuff.
So we're, of course, the aspect, I mean, the topic of the show, the whole crux of the show is forgiveness. And I started this because I know what it's like to hurt. And I've seen a lot of people hurting on this app. I've seen a lot of people hurting in my job and in the world. And I just really think that forgiveness is such a crucial aspect of emotional healing. So how important would you say that forgiveness is when it comes to emotional healing?
Oh, wow. It's everything. I mean, if you think about it, if you're holding on to old hurts, it's like, carrying a sack of bricks. You can hold on to it and carry it, but think of the consequences to your back, to, the emotional energy, to the physical energy it takes to keep lugging this around. What else could you be doing instead? Who could you be meeting? Where could you be going? It really limits you to carry something so heavy. And if you drop the bricks, no one's going to know but you. No one's keeping tabs on what you're carrying and what you're not.
So you're saying that holding on to unforgiveness can actually keep us from good things in our life that we might be missing because of we're holding on to that.
Oh, absolutely. Because what you focus on grows. And if you're focused on the pain and the hurt, those feelings are going to grow or at least be static. They're not going to improve. It's when you're ready to release is when you're going to start seeing some beautiful things come up in your life, and that might be years. That might take time. It might be after therapy. It might be after doing a lot of healing and introspection. I'm not telling anyone to forgive just as they're watching the show or they're being pushed to forgive. It's a process, of course. However, when you're faced with it, like, am I ready to forgive? I'm ready to give this up. Your life will open up in beautiful ways when you're able.
And one of the things you said that hit me was when you're holding on to unforgiveness and you're holding on to past hurts, that becomes your focus. And I think a lot of the times, even if it's not something that we're dwelling on every day, if it's something that we're holding on to and we're not letting go, and we are, like you said, carrying those bricks around. It may not be something that you have to be consciously dwelling on for it to still be holding you back. Would you say that's true?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's in the background.
Right.
And it might come up as road rage. It might come up as frustration at work. It might come up as insomnia, back pain, all sorts of wonderful things. You're like, why am I having this?
Right.
You start looking inward. What is the crap you're carrying around? Whether it's, past hurts or traumas, you have to look at how you can let go of those, how you can heal and let go.
Do you think it's possible to have true healing without forgiveness?
It's a part of the healing. It's a part of it. Yeah, I think you're going to need to do it. It might not be as painful as you think it's going to be, or that much of a sacrifice once you've done the healing. It might be just one day you're just ready to let it go. Not let it go as it didn't happen, but let it go as I'm not going to keep on carrying around this hurt and this pain, or want this person to hurt, or want revenge. One day you might just be willing or able to let it go easily.
I think that's so important. That's why I spend so much time on the definition and making sure we're on the same page, because so many people, I think they confuse forgiveness with pardoning, right? Like, especially in, I work in law enforcement with, with a wide variety of crimes, and, victims, they, when we talk about forgiveness, they think that means that we're going to release the person who did what they did from their consequences. And that's definitely not what forgiveness is.
Right. And I had a situation where I forgave someone for doing something that was really, really painful. And it allowed me to free up a lot of emotional space in my life. But every once in a while, I'll get triggered to feel a strong emotion about it. And that's okay. Like, it doesn't mean I haven't forgave or healed. I'm allowed to continue to feel emotions about it, but I have made the decision to let go, and not wish this person anything bad, or be tied to what happened anymore. But that takes a while. It takes a while to get to that point.
So, if someone's listening here and they say, well, that sounds great. I hear what you're saying, but I'm not there yet. Maybe the pain is just too fresh. Maybe it's too raw. Maybe it's just not something that they're ready for. What would you recommend them as a first step in towards moving towards that direction?
Self-love and self-compassion. Maybe they need some warmth and nurturing. Maybe they need someone to give something really nice to them, whether that's a friend reaching out to a friend, a therapist, a coach, or people on your streams who are loving and caring. Maybe you need more positive connection, and allow yourself just to be where you are right now, and continue to check in with yourself. You might not be ready right now, but check in every month. Use times like the New Year's to check in. Like, how am I doing with this right now? Where am I? Am I closer? Am I not? And be okay with wherever you are. No need to do anything right now, or be
Give yourself grace.
give yourself grace. Yeah.
I would not have, I've been talking about forgiveness for a long time, and it never really clicked until you said that, but really because I always say that forgiveness is first and foremost for yourself. So it makes sense that self-love is an integral part of that process, especially if you're struggling. Because if you're in a place where you're taking care of yourself, and even if you're not ready to let go of that hurt yet, you may be able to get yourself in a better place to where you are able to let that go.
Right. It's a process.
Gotcha.
Not gonna
Now,
happen.
in addition to being a licensed clinical psychologist, you're also a dating expert. And
Yeah.
you have a show on the app where you talk about a wide range of topics, many of them pertaining to the dating world. So when we're talking about the topic of forgiveness,
Uh-huh.
how is forgiveness unique when it comes to a romantic partner or ex-partner?
Right. Okay. So it's really important to understand your worth and know what your boundaries are, and know what you're willing to put up with. Because if there's someone who violates your boundaries repeatedly, you might want to take a really good look at why you're staying. Um, Forgiveness can come later, but sometimes you have to make a choice to get out. Sometimes you have to make a choice to end a relationship where someone is harming you. If you're being abused, if there's abuse, instead of saying, oh, I just want to forgive this person, you might need to leave first for safety reasons. And then you do the work, the healing work, and then you can come to forgiveness later. So if there are things like that, you have to look at your safety first. In terms of someone perhaps cheating in the past, you have to see if that person is willing to make personal changes, and if you're able to heal with that person, and do work together to understand why it happened and why it won't happen again. But if there's someone who is cheating on you, know your worth. Like, you don't need to put up with that. You shouldn't, because all of us at our core, we're all love, and we all deserve to be loved. Um, yeah, you have to understand what you're worth.
And that can be really difficult, especially when you have, a connection that is as intimate as a romantic connection, because, there's no, I would argue no deeper form of connection, which means that there's going to be that much more work in forgiveness. Would you agree with that?
Oh, absolutely. When you're in relationships, we're so connected, because over time we get used to being with someone. They know or they know a lot of our secrets. They know our inadequacies, our weaknesses. So we're so vulnerable in those relationships. Um, Absolutely. So it's hard. Like, so the question is, how do we forgive our loved ones, or what do we put up with?
Yes, and yes. How do we forgive a loved one? I'm just trying to kind of dig a little bit deeper into what makes forgiveness when it comes to an intimate partner or ex-intimate partner so unique. And because I can tell from personal experiences, I'm sure a lot of us in the chat can. I just feel like it hits different.
Yeah, it's deeper because they know us. They know places where we're weak, and they can get to those places. We're vulnerable, so they can hurt us more. In terms of exes, you can go on a path of forgiveness, and you can take your own time. But if you're currently in a relationship, that takes a little bit more negotiation, and maybe couples therapy, or at least dialogue and communication with the other person about, like, what happened, why you're hurt, and how do you change things so there's less hurt in the relationship.
Absolutely. Good communication is so vital.
Mhm.
Dr. Marissa, thank you so much for being a part of the show. Would you like to please, before you go, tell us a little bit about yourself, about your show here on the app?
Sure. So I'm Dr. Marissa. I'm a psychologist and a dating coach. I have a show Tuesdays at 3 p.m. Eastern, live with Dr. Marissa. We talk about love, dating, and mental health. Last week's episode yesterday was on dating resolutions, and we have next week is on dating safety, red flags, and catfishing. So it's an
Okay.
important episode. I have three dating experts coming on to talk about, like, some horror stories and how you can protect yourself, how to date safely, and how, like, all these pitfalls and how to prevent it, how it cannot happen to you. So it's good for anyone to hear. So next week, uh, 3
And
p.m.
what time and date is your show again?
Tuesday, 3 p.m. Eastern.
Guys, please hit Dr. Marissa with the favorite. Dr. Marissa, thank you for staying with us through our technical difficulties. I think having Dr. Marissa in the box is the secret to not getting banned, apparently. So
Yay!
I'm afraid to let her go because we'll probably get banned again. But
Yay!
she's a dear friend of mine. She's a dear friend of the stream, and she's got amazing content. So go check her out. Follow her on Instagram. Dr. Marissa, thank you so much for being here tonight.
Thank you so much. Bye, Amor. Have a great show.
Bye, Dr. Marissa.
Bye.
And make sure to hit her with the favorite before she goes. And guys, again, we are sorry for the lack of, or for the high number of technical difficulties that we've had here tonight, guys. I do appreciate you guys staying with me. For those of y'all who come back, we are going to continue going. It looks like we're good to go here. It's been like 10 minutes and we haven't been banned, so that's a good sign. So we're going to continue going on. Thank you, Dr. Marissa. Now, before we get into our featured guests, guys, every week I'm going to have a story from popular culture, from current events, or from the Forgiveness Project book, which again is a compilation of stories through book, through podcast and through show. And as they also have a traveling convention that they do as well, where they do many of the same things that we're doing on this show, highlighting people who have overcome pains and traumas and their journey towards healing and forgiveness. So we're going to be doing that each week. This week, guys, I'm going to be talking with you guys about a story that you may or may not remember from about it was about 2 or 3 years ago. And that is the story of Amber Geiger. Now, Amber Geiger, I don't know if any of you guys remember Amber Geiger. Amber Geiger was a police officer in Fort Worth. She was coming home and she walked into an apartment that she claims she thought was her own. And there was a man inside the apartment. It ended up being the tenant of the apartment, and she shot and killed him. It was a young black man. Now, she claimed that she thought that this man inside the apartment, she thought that this was her apartment and that she accidentally went into the wrong apartment. But there was a lot of backlash, a lot of people saying that she knew very well that it wasn't her apartment, that she should have, checked the fact that she went to kill first. She was off duty, all these things. She didn't go through all the steps that she should have as a law enforcement official. There's a lot of hate and resentment towards her, obviously, for killing a innocent black man. And as a result of that, she was tried. I don't know if she was actually convicted of murder. I think she was convicted of murder. It may have been manslaughter, but obviously it was a lot of outrage towards her for killing, this innocent man. And the name of the man was Botham Jeans. I may be getting his name butchered a little bit, but Botham Jeans. And obviously a lot of resentment towards Amber, towards his family. A lot of people from all across, the country, across the world, resentment towards her. And when she was convicted of murder, Botham's brother Botham was the victim of this shooting. His brother testified at the disposition hearing and publicly said that he forgave her for the murder of his brother. And he was very, very close with her brother. He said that while, he thinks that her conviction is understandable and justified, he said he actually forgave her openly in front of the whole world. And not only did that, but he actually asked permission from the judge to give her a hug in front of the entire court. Now, there was a lot of mixed feelings about this, but I just got to say, and I was deeply touched by that. Again, we're not in any way trying to minimize the crime, and neither was he. No one was saying that, she needed to be relieved of any consequences, but he was saying that he did not want to carry around that hate for the rest of his life. He did not want to carry around that right to hate her, that right to revenge, which is what unforgiveness is that right, holding on to that right to hate someone, that right to revenge. In an open court, on TV, in front of the whole world, he publicly forgave her, gave her a hug, and he said he is not going to be a victim of hate because of what happened with her brother. And he says that he hopes that she can someday find peace in her own life. Now, I don't know, a lot of us guys, I don't know if someone killed my brother or my sister, whether I would kind of have that strength. But regardless of how you feel, I think it's about whether, he should or should not have done that. It is a real testament to the strength of forgiveness, and it's a really, really powerful story. If you guys want to learn more about it, again, the victim's, his name was Botham Jeans, and the officer who killed him was Amber Geiger. It was a big case. I don't know, guys, if you remember this case, but this was a huge case here in Dallas, obviously, because Dallas and Fort Worth, and it was a Fort Worth police officer that did it. So this was like just huge news. Like everybody was streaming it here in Dallas when it happened a couple years ago. So I don't know if it made as much nationwide news as it did here. I know it was nationwide, but I don't know if it was maybe as impactful everywhere as it was here. But I remember that very, 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 very well. And when he did that, I think we were all just kind of tugged at our emotional heartstrings a little bit. If you're just joining us, this is Forgiveness Culture, guys. This is the show where we highlight guests who share their journeys overcoming pain and hurts and in their journey towards healing and forgiveness. It's time for our featured guest here tonight, guys. It looks like we're not going to get banned anymore. Again, guys, I deeply, deeply apologize about all the technical difficulties we've had here tonight, guys. I'm going to try to get this sorted out before next week, guys. Our next guest is Hoops. If you don't know this guy, where have you been? You must not have been on the app for very long. An amazing guest, an amazing friend, and he's got an amazing story for us here tonight of someone that he had forgiven. If you are interested in being on Forgiveness Project, I'm still stuck in the pack. On Forgiveness Culture, please message me on Instagram if you have a story of forgiveness that you'd like to share. Y'all, please welcome the one and only Hoops to the show.
Hi, everybody.
Thank Hoops, how you doing, brother?
For having me on the show. It's such an honor to be your first guest on such a great and powerful show. So I'm super excited.
It's so great and powerful that, you know, we got banned 4 times tonight. Hoops.
It seems like Meet Me Tonight just doesn't want us to be great. But
oh my goodness! It's like why does this happen? The very end, the very last episode of Pet Profiles and the premiere of Forgiveness Culture. Just like, hey, let's ban you 4 times during your stream. How about that?
Yeah.
So
but as in show business, the show must.
It's an honor to have you, Hoops. I'm really, really glad that you are our first guest. I can't really think of too many people, if anybody, that would be a better way to start off the show. You're an amazing personality on the app, and you're just an amazing person in general. And you're going to be sharing a forgiveness story with us today.
I am.
So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. So well, let me introduce myself.
Of course.
You guys
Sorry.
that don't know me. I am a top badge here on the app. I've been streaming since 2019. I got my top badge on April 24th, 2020. And yeah, it's just been an awesome journey, and I've been able to meet so many great people, network with so many awesome people, and I've also been able to do a great show. So guys, definitely make sure you favorite me. I stream every day. We always do a lot of crazy stuff in my stream, and yeah, it's just an honor to be on such an amazing.
I'm really bad about having people introduce themselves. I just assume that everybody knows you, Hoops.
Yeah, and people know, I guess. But to get to the story, and why I'm here today, this is a story that is really hard for me to talk about, and I do apologize in advance if I get choked up, because this is tough. But I was in an abusive relationship with a female that I was with for a year, and it was unfortunately very toxic towards the end. It really started out good, and I thought that this person was somebody that I was going to spend the rest of my life with, and unfortunately it became very emotionally and physically abusive towards the end, to the point where the final straw was her actually pushing me out of my wheelchair. And I flew across the room, and then she got on top of me and she bit me, told me that I was marked for life, and that I would never find love other than her.
At what point? And again, if I ask any questions that you're not comfortable answering, that you're more than welcome to just kind of skate it or answer it as redirects you feel appropriate. When did it start to turn? Because you said in the beginning it's kind of started.
It really, I mean, we had been like going on dates before we actually decided to move in with one another, and that's really when I saw that the verbal abuse had started. Once the verbal abuse started, then the physical abuse followed. And I think it was just because she had such a level of comfortability as far as, just getting to know me. And I almost would say that she was very manipulative in the fact that, she took my kindness for weakness, and she seen that, I was emotionally damaged from other things that had happened, in my past. And she's seen that, and she exposed that. And, it was very, unfortunately, hurtful in that regard.
That happens so often with people who have big hearts and are kind, is people mistake that kindness, or confuse that kindness for weakness, and think that, oh, this person's kind, this person's someone I can just basically do whatever I want to. And unfortunately, in your case, you're saying it escalated to a very, very dangerous level.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So what did it, can you tell us a little bit about, I'm trying to think how to phrase this, how it got to the point where it was that night, where it was obviously at that climax where
It was just me, expressing in the most respectful way possible that I thought that it would be better if we parted ways, because I just didn't think that it was a conducive um, relationship to be in any longer. And I think I took like way too much, and I was only 18 actually at the time. Um, and I honestly went back about 4 or 5 times thinking that it would get better, and it never did.
and it's hard, especially right when you said it was good in the beginning, and you care for someone very deeply. You want to make things work. I'm one of those kind of people who I will fight for everything. I will fight to the ends of the earth to make it work. And um it's something that it's not very easy for me to let go of.
And I think the biggest reason why I fought so hard was because I'm the type of person that I'm willing to compromise, because I'm not willing to just throw away love.
Right.
Because not everybody is able to experience that.
Oh, absolutely. I 100% agree with you. And especially when it's when it's a real love, you'll do whatever you can to hold on to that.
Right.
So you had this night where she threw you out of your wheelchair. She got on top of you. She bit you. What happened after that?
I actually blacked out. Um, and then I actually was, afterwards, I was diagnosed with PTSD, panic disorder, and I also suffered with a year of housebound agoraphobia, where I didn't leave the house for about a year.
Wow. Wow. Was there any ongoing communication with her when that happened? Did you just cut things off entirely?
That was our last encounter. And then I did see her years later. Thank you guys for the gifts, by the way. I do see them, and I appreciate them. I did see her years later, and I happened to go drop off some paperwork at an agency that I'm a part of, and you know, I just was at the desk, and she said, "Devin," and I turned around, and she was just standing right there, and just the look on her face, that blank, just stare that she gave me, just really made me have a flashback of what I seen in her eyes when she looked at me after she proceeded to get up after she was on top of me.
Yeah. And I want to get to the actual forgiveness in a minute. Before I do, was there anything that you had to kind of work on in the time between that last encounter that was really, really scary, and between the time you actually get to a place where you could forgive her? Was there any kind of work that you had to do, either emotionally or mentally, or?
Yeah, I mean, I had to work on myself because, unfortunately, because of that experience, I lost a lot of self-esteem. I really didn't think that I would ever find love again. You know what I mean? And I was scared to love. And it was one of those things that, you don't ever want to compare your previous relationship to your current ones, but I was always under the impression that I was always going to be treated like that, or I deserved it. And I almost started to accept that, and I didn't want to think like that. So I did actually end up going into therapy, having, extensive sessions with therapists, being able to talk about my issues, and, really just kind of get down to, just finding myself again and who I was and what I deserved.
And what did that look like when you say, finding yourself again? You said your therapist was able to help you do that. What did that look like?
I had some cognitive behavioral therapy where I would go in and we would speak, and we would come up with different utilizations of tools and things that I could do to just, kind of just reset my mind, because it was just so filled with trauma and, with the anxiety and the depression that came with all the things that had transpired. Unfortunately, I just really just didn't really know if I was ever going to get back to that point of me being generally happy.
Right. Obviously, this had, like you said, a very traumatic effect on you. And I appreciate you, being strong enough to tell us this story. And the name of the show is Forgiveness Culture. If you're just joining us, this is my good friend and buddy Hoops sharing a really powerful story with us tonight. Before we actually get to the forgiveness part, I wanted to ask you, before you got to a place where you were able to forgive, and I'm going to ask you what that looks like here in a minute, but what were your feelings towards her before you got to that point? Like I know you had all these, negative traumatic effects, but what were your feelings towards her during that time?
There wasn't a time in my life that I ever thought I could hate somebody, but I did. I ultimately did hate someone, and I never thought in my heart that I could ever do that because I'm not a hateful person.
Right.
You know what I mean? And
And do you think that hatred exacerbated any of your, the struggles that you were going on personally?
absolutely, absolutely, it definitely had a snowball effect, and it just sent me deeper and deeper into a depression. And like I said, I did unfortunately become diagnosed with, anxiety, depression, and also housebound with agoraphobia for about a good year and a half. And I think, I just now have recently been able to, reopen my world and my life to, just being social and being outgoing and more just so like trying to just understand that I do deserve love, and I think that everybody
Absolutely.
does.
And I think, I want to go over one more time the definition, guys, for the purposes of the show, is releasing that right to hatred and releasing that right to revenge and releasing ourselves in so doing from the chains of victimhood. You're saying that though that hatred, exacerbated all those problems, but a lot of times when we're holding on to unforgiveness, it almost like fakely makes us feel like we're powerful, right? Like I hate that person, right? Like that person did me. I ain't gonna forgive that person. I ain't gonna forgive nobody who hurts me. But from what I'm hearing from you, on a real level, that didn't give you any kind of power. When the exact had the exact opposite effect.
Absolutely, absolutely. And um, to this day, I've always been told let go and let God, and you know what? I put it in His hands.
Absolutely. So
And
how did you get to the place where you were ready to forgive? And then what did that look like once you were able to get?
the forgiveness was just a simple phone call. I had the strength to call her one night, and I just simply asked her why. And the conversation was just, unfortunately, it was not a productive conversation. It was one of those things where she was just trying to condone her actions, and there was a lot of toxicity. Like I said, that led up to the events of her actually pushing me out of my chair. But like I said, I'm not a hateful person. I wish this individual, the best in the future, and I want her to hopefully see that the things that she is doing is not the type of behavior that's going to be tolerated. And you're not going to be able to find anything sustainable if you think that that type of behavior is going to be acceptable to anybody, because abuse is not meant to be accepted, it's meant to be addressed. And hopefully, with that being said, she takes things that people are telling her as far as how, your actions will always speak louder than your words. And that's why I'm always such a firm believer in, if you show me that you care, if you show me you're willing to make the effort, I'm going to go ahead and go 110% hard for you. And, I'm going to make sure that I make you happy.
So what did that, towards her specifically, what did that forgiveness look like in your life?
Um, I think that, for me, I really just wanted to see her, strive to be a better person, see growth in her as a woman, and understanding that that's not the way about showing somebody that you love them. Because pain is not something that you bestow upon somebody that you love. Because what'll happen is you're gonna think that that's reciprocated behavior, and it's just gonna happen again. So all I could do was pray for her. That's all I did was I prayed for her, and I really just I had a really deep conversation with God, and I just said, put some healing into this woman's heart, because she's obviously in a place that she doesn't know what she's dealing with, and she needs to address it and hopefully not repeat that same behavior again. But like I said, I wish her nothing but the best.
And it's, to me, that's such an amazing thing that you said, because I think, again, we so often toxically confuse like revenge with strength. Like if we want to seek revenge, we're seeking strength. How strong do you have to be as a person to, in the midst of your pain, in the midst of your abuse, to rise above that and not only forgive that person, but wish them well, wish them success, wish them love, wish them growth? Now, if that's not strength, I mean, I don't know what is.
Yeah, it was definitely a very, very touching time, for me to even like sit there and just relive the events, because there's still times where I think about it and it's just like, it just never goes away. But you always learn to muster up the strength to always push forward and realize that you didn't deserve that. And
Right.
there is somebody out there that's going to appreciate you
Right.
for who you are.
Now, since you were able to forgive her, how has your life been better?
I think I've just been more you know, keen on the people that I decide to involve myself with, and really taking the time to be vulnerable, and just really get to know the person for who they are, and just have a mutual understanding about what it is that we both desire to have, in the relationship, if in fact it does get to that point. It's just very, very important for me to really just take my time and spend, adequate time just getting to know them for who they are, and always looking for the red flags, and hopefully dodging those bullets before they, may present themselves.
Do you feel more free as a person as a result of forgiveness?
Absolutely, I do. And it makes my heart feel good to know that, I was willing to, uh, muster up the strength to do it. Because, like I said, I never thought I could hate anybody.
How do you mean? Do you mind telling me how what that freedom looks like?
The freedom for me is just the simple fact that I'm just more open to just letting people show me who they really are. And I've always said that, when people show their true colors, believe them. When people show you their true colors, believe them. Because they're showing you that, like, this is who I am. And I may or may not change, you know?
I think a lot of people who would hear your story would be like, "Man, she doesn't deserve forgiveness. She hurt you in an inexcusable way. She doesn't deserve forgiveness." What would you say to someone who would say that to you?
Can you repeat the question? I'm
I
sorry.
think a lot of people who would hear your story and have not lived through what you lived through and have experienced the forgiveness that you've been able to achieve may hear your story and be like, "Man, she doesn't deserve forgiveness. What she did was unexcusable."
Right.
How would you respond to someone who would say that?
I would say that everybody takes their own avenues of forgiveness. And, I think that you really need to take the time to do some self reflection. And every circumstance is obviously different. But I think that, you can always forgive, but never forget. And just remember that, because you know what? You're going to go through life and you're going to find yourself in situations where, it's going to be very hard to forgive somebody for what they have done to you, because it has such a deep, profound impact on your overall well being, where it can literally, just change the whole direction of your life, in which it did. But you know what? I've always said this: out of everything that I've gone through in my life and the struggles that I face on a daily basis, it's only ever made me into the person who I am. So,
And when you're holding on to unforgiveness and that toxicity, it's really hard to learn and grow and take something from it. One of the things that you said that hit my ear was, don't forget. Like, when we're not forgetting, we're remembering. Hopefully that we're learning something from that. And how can you learn? How can you take a lesson away from something if you're harboring on to hatred and feelings of revenge?
absolutely. And that's something why, I just took that route of just being able to just have a conversation with her, and just really telling her how I felt, and, why I knew I didn't deserve that. And, I did everything under the sun, and I've always done everything under the sun, where I feel like there's been times where I've given 80 and they give 20, because I always go above and beyond in relationships. And I think that, you know, um, I'm just going to meet somebody who's willing to put in the same effort as I am.
Absolutely. How do you think your life would be different today if you were not able to get to a place where you forgave?
I would say that, I think my my mind would be full of hatred, my heart would be full of hatred, and I think, I wouldn't be able to just sometimes let things go. And I think that that's the one thing that I've learned to do better, is just to sometimes let things go, because, like I said before, People are going to be, cruel. People are going to disrespect you. People are going to try to kick you when you're down. But you know what? You find your way to pick yourself back up. You dust yourself up, and you move forward. And you just try to be the best person that you can be. And you know what? You'll find that person that sees your worth, your loyalty, and they will match that 110%. And hopefully they're consistent in doing so.
It sounds to me that forgiveness played a pretty crucial role in your healing and getting you out of a lot of that really dark stuckness that you were in. If somebody, and you said you never thought of yourself as someone who had the capability of hate, I would say that's true of myself as well, but you said you did at that point. If somebody out there is listening and they can really relate to where you were during that dark phase, maybe they're hurting right now because of something that someone did to them, and they haven't gotten to the forgiveness part, but they're maybe suffering from, maybe not agoraphobia, but maybe PTSD or mental illness, depression, anxiety, whatever. What would you say to that person to help them get to that forgiveness place so that they can have that healing?
Well, I would first say that you have to recognize what your triggers are, for one. For two, I think that it's very important that you speak to somebody. Never be afraid to reach out to somebody, because I promise you there's somebody out there that's willing to listen. We don't just speak to hear ourselves talk. We speak because we have a voice, and we should be able to say how we feel at all times.
Absolutely.
So hold back from this.
Have you had any communication with her?
I have not.
That? Okay.
Absolutely none. That chapter in my life is closed.
And I think that's really important. I was going to get to this before I was banned 4 times, but one of the things I like to say when we're talking about the static and dynamic definitions of forgiveness is forgiveness can look very different in different people's lives, right? For some, it can lead to a reconciliation, right? It can lead to a reunification, and it could lead to, things getting better. But sometimes, it may not lead to that, right? Sometimes the best way to forgive someone is to let them go. One of the things I love to say on this show is, just because I want to see you eat doesn't mean I want you at my dinner table.
Absolutely. And you know what I always say, man? I know that I'm not always going to be everybody's cup of tea, but you know what? You might consider to drink it. So, hey,
Well, Hoops, man, really powerful story, man. Is there anything else about that story that you think that the audience needs to know, or the forgiveness part?
I would just say, the last thing I would say, and I said it already, when people show you their true colors, believe them, always precede love with, just the most sincerity. Always see people for who they are. And if people are willing to attach, themselves to you or pour themselves into you, let them in.
Absolutely. Well, Hoops, before we let you go, would you like to tell us again, for those who had just joined, who you are and what you do and why you're so awesome?
Yeah. Well, I've been streaming on here for a while, and like I said, man, I've met so many amazing people. I've been able to, be such an impactful person on this app, being that I'm the only male disabled top badge, and use my story for, empowerment and strength and motivate people. And hopefully when I leave this app, I know that I've left a mark here. And that's the most amazing part about it. I also do a show here on the app called Search for the Star. It's a talent show for singers and rappers that I am going to be resuming on January 18th. And it's open audition. So if there's anybody in the comments or anybody that you guys may know of that you think would be an awesome candidate for that show, definitely follow me up on Instagram, clicking on my bio and going and following me there, sending me a message, and I'll definitely try to get you
Hoops, I was hoping that our, kickoff episode would be powerful. It was powerful the first 4 times we started the live. It was powerful the 5th attempt as well. I'm really glad that you were my first guest, because, your story, there's a range of, intensities when it comes to forgiveness. And I think, your story definitely shows the darkness of unforgiveness as well as the light of forgiveness, and just the amazing contrast as well as your strength. I love you, buddy. Thank you so much for being the first guest. I can't think
You're more
of
than
a better
welcome,
way to start
and
off
I
the show.
hope, that this show continues to bring more of, just amazing guests, and it just continues to hopefully, just keep pouring into people, and don't let people take advantage of you. And if people are going through a cycle of abuse, don't be afraid to leave, because you don't deserve it.
Absolutely. Y'all, please, if you haven't already, please hit Hoops with the favorite. Hoops, thank you so much for being our first guest, man. Amazing story.
Absolutely. Thank you guys so much
Absolutely
for
amazing.
having me. And everybody that I see with the basketballs in the comments, everybody that's here. So thank you so much. All your support is so much appreciated every day. You guys make this streaming stuff so fun, not only for me, but for more. And, just enjoy your time on here and be the light you want to be in the world.
Absolutely. Thank you, Hoops.
You guys have a great night. Much love.
What an amazing way to start off the show,
I
guys.
can't get out. Put the ramp down.
Maybe I'll just like trap you here, Hoops. We could just have a very awkward last. No, I'm just kidding. I'll let you. Can we have like just like one like aspect where this is not like glitching somehow? Meet me. Listen, I'm gonna forgive. This is what Meet Me's doing this on purpose. They're trying to say, how serious are you about forgiving? How serious are you about forgiving? Because we're gonna throw a bunch of glitches and malfunctions here. Hold on. Normal stream Mor's voice is coming out. I got to go back to host Mor's voice, because when normal stream Mor's voice comes out, we can get a little bit helter skelter. So, all right, guys, normally that would be the end of the show. We do end the show with our guests. Now, there was a little bit of content. Thank you, Hoops. No, thank you. I hope y'all were touched by Hoop's story. I hope that reached somebody out there. I hope that inspired and motivated someone out there to, maybe take some steps towards forgiveness. I want to go in a little bit of content that I was not able to get into because of the fact that, we were banned 4 times. So when we're talking about forgiveness, guys, again, one more time, what we're talking about forgiveness is releasing the right to hatred and releasing the right to revenge. And in so doing, releasing ourselves from the right, releasing ourselves from the chains of victimhood. Now I want to highlight that word, guys. What word do you notice in that definition? The word right. It's not just releasing hatred. It's not just releasing revenge, right? It's releasing the right to that hatred. It's releasing the right to that revenge, right? Great. It's great because of you, Hoops. I appreciate you, buddy. Big ups to you, man. So when we're hurt, right? Maybe we're not actively focusing on that hate, right? Maybe we're not actively seeking out revenge when someone hurts us. But we hold in the back of our minds that we have that right, right? I may not be seeking revenge against you. I might not be actively hating you in my life, but I have the right to do it. If I want to, I have the right to hate you. If I want to, I have the right to take revenge on you because of what you did to me. You hurt me, and I have that right. Put a 1 in the comment section if you can relate to that impulse. If you can relate to saying, you know what, I may not be hurting you, I may not be hating you, I may not be taking revenge against you, but I certainly have that right to do it. So forgiveness is taking it just a step forward, a step beyond just releasing hatred and releasing revenge. I'm not only going to do that, I'm going to go a step forward and I'm going to release the right that I have to that. I'm going to be releasing the right I have. The reason that is so crucial, guys, is as long as you hold on to that right, as long as you hold on that right to hate, I may not hate you, but I have the right to do it. I may not take revenge against you, but I have the right to see revenge. You're still going to want to see that person hurt. You're still going to want to see that bad things, calamity fall upon that person. And what that's do is you're going to have subconscious toxicity on your mind, on your heart, and on your soul. So you may not see it every day, but that's why that last part of the definition is you're releasing yourself from the chains of victimhood. As long as you hold on to that right, you're a victim. You're a victim of that hurt. I don't know about you, but I don't want to be a victim. I want to be a survivor. Put a 1 in the comment section if you would rather be a survivor than a victim. I know that's right. I don't want to be a victim. I don't want to be a victim. I want to be a survivor. I ain't trying to be a victim of nothing. All right. I'm going to be a survivor. And the reason that that's all important, guys, and the reason why we talk about that definition, I preach so much on that, is because you have to understand what forgiveness is and what forgiveness isn't, so that not only you don't confuse it with pardoning or, just, excusing someone's behavior, but you can take those healthy steps towards healing. Because first, forgiveness is first and foremost for who, guys? Forgiveness is first and foremost for ourselves. It's for you. It's not for that person. Now, in certain situations, that forgiveness can benefit that person. I've had to forgive family members for pains and because of that forgiveness, I've been able to rebuild and repair those relationships. But how many people have put a 1 in the comment section if you've had to forgive someone that you know damn well ain't sorry and has no shame for what they've done to you? Truth. Sometimes that's not possible. But that's why it's first and foremost for yourself. You're releasing that right to hatred, releasing that right to revenge, releasing yourself from the chains of victimhood. Then, if that person's ready and that person's willing to receive that, maybe reconciliation is possible. Maybe it is. And that's that second stage of forgiveness. Not everyone can get to that. Like I said, when Hoop was in the box, guys, when we can't have that person in our life anymore, but we still forgive them, it's basically saying, and I love this quote, I'm going to say it every single episode, just because I want to see you eat doesn't necessarily mean I want you at my dinner table. I want you to eat, I want you to be healthy, but I don't want you at my dinner table. But if forgiveness is not part of that picture, what you are doing is you're drinking poison and hoping that the other person dies. I'm going to repeat that. I'm going to repeat that for the people in the back. When we hold on to forgiveness or unforgiveness, when we hold on to unforgiveness, it's drinking poison and hoping that the other person dies. Think about that. You're drinking the poison and you're hoping that they die. That's what unforgiveness is. When we're able to make that reconciliation with that person who hurt us and we're able to rebuild that bond, rebuild that trust, that can be a beautiful thing. And maybe that's possible in your situation. Maybe it's not. But regardless, if we can individually release that unforgiveness and we can embrace forgiveness and embrace the peace and embrace the love, that could inspire someone else, even if that person's not in our life, to forgive someone else guys, think about this for a second. The person that hurt you, they may have hurt you because of unforgiveness that they're holding on to. Let me say that again. The person that hurt you may have hurt you because of unforgiveness that they're holding on to. So are you going to repeat the cycle? Are you going to continue doing what they do and in turn probably hurt somebody else? And then you're going to be the one that needs forgiveness. You're the one whose actions are going to need forgiveness. Think about that for a minute. But if we embrace a culture of forgiveness, which is what this show is all about, think of the ripples and the pond that can make. Think of the hurts and the pains that you're preventing from doing to other people. Now think about this. Because of your forgiveness, we can kick Dope Boy. Because of your unforgiveness, if you're holding on to that revenge and hatred, you might hurt somebody else. Then you'll be the one who needs forgiveness. But not only that, maybe the person that you hurt will in turn hurt somebody else. That's what we call revenge culture. That's what we call toxic culture. That's what I'm attempting to address with this show. That's what I am attempting to change. That's what I'm attempting to make an impact on. And I will have guest after guest after guest after guest, if I have to, who shares how forgiveness has benefited them if it'll make a difference. And even if it makes one difference in one person's life, that can have a domino and snowball effect. I saw it in the comment section. Like ripples in a pond, butterfly effect. That forgiveness can help enable somebody else's forgiveness. That forgiveness can help enable someone else's forgiveness, which could prevent somebody else's hurt. And that somebody else's hurt could prevent somebody else from being hurt. That's what we're here for, guys. That's what we're here for. If you have a story that you would like of forgiveness that you would like to share, reach out to me on Instagram. You can click my name right here. That's a direct link to my bio, and just hit the little Instagram logo, Mor Miserables. I'm going to say it the incorrect way, Mor Miserables, all one word, on Instagram, MorMiserables, all one word, on Instagram. Shoot me a message saying, Mor, I have a story. I'd like to be featured. I will talk with you about it one-on-one to see if your story is appropriate for the show. Because again, guys, I want to make sure that I have people on the show who understand what we're talking about when we're talking about forgiveness. Because I don't sometimes, again, that's why I preach so much on the static and dynamic definitions. Thank you, Meet Me, for the heart eyes. I didn't even do anything, but thank you. Meet Me is definitely agreeing with what I'm saying, totally. But I want to make sure I'm on the same page with any guests. That way we are preaching the same word, for lack of better words. But anyways, guys, that is going to be our show for today. It did run a little bit over, but thankfully, Meet Me kept us on. I think we're still on for another 12 minutes. So if you, oh God, Emoji J, do we want to see this replay? My goodness. I am going to talk to Chris about what we can do to prevent this. No, I'm not ending the stream right away, Andrew. If anybody has any questions about forgiveness, or I'd like to keep it a little bit on topic, I'm gonna give this time to answer any questions on the topic. Guys, in future episodes, we are gonna divert a little bit off the topic of forgiveness. We are going out. I love that question, Poetic. Give me a second. We're gonna be talking on some episodes about kindness. We're gonna be talking on some episodes about patience. We're gonna talk about leadership. And there's gonna be one episode, which I'm trying to get our friend Chris Casper to be on, where I'm gonna be talking about drama and how to be respectful in the midst of drama. So I'm really, really, really looking forward to that show. That's going to be a little bit further down the line. And Chris is someone who's obviously has his hand all over the app. So I'm sure he knows what it's like to be dealing with drama. I think everybody in this app has at least experienced a little drama in one way or the other. So we are going to talk about that in a future episode. But it's all going to be in the same kind of mental health, forgiveness avenue. So we're not going to just talk about random things that have nothing to do with the subject. They're all going to be somewhat related. So let's get to our first question. Why is forgiveness so hard? You know, it takes a lot to forgive. There's a lot that I could spend the entire show on that question, Poetic Beauty. I think forgiveness is hard for a lot of reasons. When we're hurt, it's a very natural reaction to see the person who hurt us back. So I think that's the first reason why forgiveness is so hard, is that it goes against our nature. You know, it goes against our survival nature. When someone hurts us, we want to take revenge. I mean, I always think back to 9/11, and I remember, because I was alive on I was still in school on 9/11. I just remember the collective anger and animosity that we faced as a nation in the United States after 9/11, and how we didn't even care who we attacked. We just wanted somebody to attack. And it's a gut reaction. It's a natural reaction. And it's not a bad reaction. We just have to choose to rise above it. And it takes strength to do that. It takes emotional strength. It takes spiritual strength. And it takes mental strength. So that is, I would say, in a nutshell, why I think forgiveness is so hard. What are you looking for as a feature shows, and what are you trying to avoid? I definitely want to keep it in, again, the avenue of forgiveness. Like I said, we might talk about kindness one episode. We might talk about patience one episode. We may talk about things that maybe divert strictly off of forgiveness, but it's going to be in that same milieu. It's going to be in that same area. So, okay. Any other questions, guys? Any other questions? Thank you all for the gifts, the comments. I got to thank like 3 people's worth of gifts, because like, goodness, I had like, and how cool was that gift from Good Listener? Oh my God, that was so cool. That was the coolest thing. I didn't even know what was happening. I just saw a phone went on my screen, and then I was like, what is going on? I saw a phone go on my screen, and then I saw 10. I was like, what is going on? So, yeah, that was really, really cool. So I'm going to stay on a little bit, probably at least till the featured mark. Yeah, that was pretty cool. I had never seen that. GIF went wild, and then we got banned, you know. I'm going to talk to Chris about